Welcome back to the Section YY podcast. I'm Negative Niece, joined by Harb. We've got a fully loaded, the old WWE paper show, fully loaded show this week, Harbin. Just massive, massive show. We've said it a while back, like UT over the past couple years, few years, is always giving us something to talk about, and this week is no different, Harbin. Right?
We're gonna get very contentious.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm Negative Niece came out last weekend, by the way, and I'll get to that here in a minute, but Negative Niece made a return on Saturday afternoon. We'll talk more about that here shortly, but losing will do that to you, I guess. We've won so much lately. Negative Niece has been hiding out in the shadows, but he resurfaced for a few minutes there on Saturday, but we'll get back to that. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Like I said, we got a big show this week. We're gonna get right into it. No small talk. Tennessee baseball lost at Arkansas last weekend. SEC tournaments going on this week. We'll look at NCAA projections, which start next week. Zakai Zeigler in the news as of yesterday. He's filed a lawsuit against the NCAA. We'll talk about that. The Adidas rumors, Harbin, they just keep coming up. The Adidas Nike drama with the contract for the apparel keeps happening. So we'll talk about that and see what all that means. And very briefly at the end of the show, UT football over under win totals have been updated for 2025. And we'll recap the PGA Championship very quickly. And then finally, a preview, a sneak peek of the 2025 Straw Plains Open Invitational at Pawleys Island. We'll talk about it later on. So stay tuned for that. Don't skip forward. Stay tuned. Don't cheat.
Or cheat if
Or
you want.
cheat. You can.
Or
Just
cheat.
as long as you listen to some of it, we're good.
Yeah.
Part of it. So, all right, Harbin, Tennessee baseball. We're going to pussyfoot around here. Um, lot to talk about on this end, but Tennessee baseball lost 2 out of 3 last weekend at Arkansas. Things started off great on Thursday night. Marcus Phillips threw, I thought, a good game. Bullpen came in, and for once, with the addition of AJ Russell, he threw pretty well once again, progressing, throwing more pitches, more innings. Did a really good job. Tennessee won that game 10-7. Should have been easier than that, scoring 10 runs, but they let Arkansas kind of hang around. So you're thinking after that win, all right, we got William Doyle going on Friday. Like, we win this one, we win the series. Things are looking up. Well, Doyle gets absolutely shelled, even though he strikes out 10 Razorbacks. Arkansas did a lot of damage. I think they hit at least 2 home runs, maybe a third. But they got to Liam, and it's his first bad outing in a while here at UT. So honestly, as a pitcher, former pitcher myself, that happens. Like, sometimes you're due for a bad outing. You can't throw you can't throw 6 or 7 shutout innings with 14 Ks every week, especially in the SEC. It's just not going to happen. So Tennessee lost that one, and then Sunday was an absolute, pardon my language, an absolute shit show. On Sunday afternoon, it was. I think we were up 2-1 going into the third inning. Tegan Coons walked the first batter. I thought he was throwing pretty well. Walked the first batter. Pickoff move to first. They call a balk on him. Wasn't not a balk. I'm sure you all have seen that. If you haven't, look it up. I'm sure it's on YY Twitter. Um, Proceeded to get a ground ball to Dean Curley, who let it go right through the 5 hole. Never even touched it. Another error. Walk, change pitcher, home run, grand slam. Just like that, it's 5-2. Then they started scoring. They couldn't get anybody out. I mean, you look up and it's 7-2 within like a 6 to 7 minute time frame. That's when I got up and I turned the TV off. I said, I'm going outside to wash my truck. I can't do this. I can't watch this thing. It's the same stuff every weekend with this team. They're playing well. They make an error, it collapses. And that's what happened last weekend. I thought they did some things better. I thought their hitting was better, situational hitting was better. I thought Marcus Phillips threw pretty well. AJ Russell, like I mentioned earlier, he had a good outing. Um, Doyle didn't throw very well on on Friday. Obviously, they kind of mixed up the rotation like we mentioned last week to keep Doyle on the same rest pattern. But man, they can't get out of their own way, Harbin. They just can't.
No, I mean, I feel like this is the same episode we've had for the last
It is.
2 months. It's kind of is what it is. We win game one, and then games two and three, you either get blown out of the water or you lose a heartbreaker. You can flip flop those interchangeably, and that's SEC play for your boys. I I really don't have a whole lot to add. I hate to be short and blunt about it, but it's the same exact thing every single weekend.
There's nothing to say. It's the same thing. Josh Walker texted me the other day and said, "How many more episodes are you going to title Tennessee baseball continues to struggle?" And I said, "As many as they keep struggling, I guess." So, and if you're listening to this, they played in the SEC tournament today and they didn't struggle as much. They ended up winning against Alabama, but we'll talk about that in a second. But I want to do some trivia with you, Harbin, at Arkansas. How many errors do you think the Vols committed in the whole weekend?
8.
I only saw four. Now, I think there was probably some more like mental errors, you might call them, but that's what the box score had listed. How many runners do you think Tennessee left on base the whole series?
Well, if we're continuing the trend,
It was a lot.
oh God, we go with 17.
More. More.
20?
More. It gets worse. As the more you higher you go, the worse it gets.
It's not 25.
More. I'll just go ahead and tell you if that's okay.
30.
30. They left 30 runners on base in the 3 game series. 30. And they scored 10 runs on Thursday night. I don't know how many. I think they left 11 on Thursday night and they still scored 10 runs. And I need to look to see how many they left on today against Alabama, but that that has been one of the biggest problems with this team. It's the bullpen, the errors by not the whole team but certain players, and the situational hitting, just leaving the bases full of volunteers. And that goes back to what we've been talking about. They just cannot get that big hit to get those 1, 2, 3 runs in an inning across. They just can't do it right now. Um, again, I thought they did some better things. I thought Dean Curley had a good weekend at the plate this past weekend, but bless his heart, he cannot field the baseball. I think he's got the yips. I don't know that it's as bad as Chuck Knobloch was, but
He's definitely got the yips. That's why they put him at second.
and I think I keep getting asked like, why don't they just put him on DH? I don't think Tony Vitello is going to do it at this point. He's had ample opportunities to do it. Why would he do it now?
Did you not see his comment after the game that had
I have
Twitter,
not.
Twitter kind of up in flames?
I did not. What did he say?
So I guess we're kind of skipping into the Alabama game now.
Sure. Tennessee beat Alabama for those that didn't know, 15-10 earlier today on
Alabama
Wednesday.
won 15-10. I was on the golf course. I got to watch the majority of the last 3.5 innings. Right before I got to start watching, the score was it 5-2?
Yes, 5-2 in the fifth, top of
Score
the fifth.
the score was 5-2. Vols were leading. I believe there was 2 outs. Was it runners on first and second?
Yes.
Uh,
AJ
Vols,
Russell had just come in.
yeah. So you're probably gonna have to clean this up because still haven't seen the play.
I
But
didn't I didn't see it either. I was just listening on the radio.
I heard how egregious it was from everybody in the clubhouse at the golf course. Um, Ball gets hit to Dean Curley, and He pretty much throws it to first before the first baseman even is in the vicinity of first base. I'm assuming the ball was hit hard because it was that quick. I don't know. Big air, runners advance. Alabama
2 runs scored.
2 runs scored on the play. Alabama ends up getting 4 total in the inning. All of a sudden, it's 6-5 Alabama. Tennessee pours it on them in the 6th inning, in either the 7th or 8th. I can't remember which one, but we get it up to 15. And Alabama extended the game. They got 4 more in the ninth, 15-10. Overall, really good game today for the Vols. Outside of
If you take that air out and that inning ends,
it's 15-2 and it's
it's
runnable.
15-2 before you know it, and they don't even get to that point.
Yeah,
Or maybe not even got to 15. They probably just went to 12.
yeah, yeah. Either way, it's a run rule. You get to save an arm or two. But Tony Vitello was asked about Dean Curley staying on the field or in the lineup in general. And I need to, well, I want to get the exact quote.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up right now because I have not seen this.
Uh,
Oh, here, I found it.
I got it.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
Tony Vitello was asked where he's at with Tennessee infielder Dean Curley following his error in the 5th. He said, I'm good with it, ride or die, with anything on or off the field with that guy. That pissed a lot of people off.
But he's going to stand up for his guy. But at some point, I don't.
I'm not saying it pissed me off
Right.
because when you're a coach at that high of a level and like your big focus is intensity and emotion, you know how your guys respond, if that makes sense. So, like, if you have a guy that responds to an ass chewing, you're going to rip him a new one to the media because you know it's going to fire him up. Or if you have a guy that responds better to encouragement, you're going to say that. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I'm sure they spoke behind closed doors and no media around. I'm sure they've done that a couple times this season, to be honest with you. But at this point, if he hasn't been taken out of the lineup, is he really going to? I don't
They're
think
not
he
going
is.
to. They're not going to at this point.
Yeah, and like he said, it's ride or die, and honestly, I respect it. Do I agree with it? I don't know. I have no idea what the dynamic is with him in that locker room. Uh, but that's the answer. So if it upsets you, get over it because it just is what it is. Uh, Personally, I don't have a huge issue with it. You got to stick up for your boys, especially a guy that's done as much here as he has. Like, just is what it is.
Yeah, he went on to say, Tony Vitello on Dean Curley, it was an odd play. Should it happen? No. But again, these dudes will make mistakes. Ride or die for anything on or off the field for that guy. So I get it. He's got the guys back. I'm trying to look at it, and I tweeted this from a team morale standpoint. If you see this happening, I know I'm looking at it from me pitching, and I've been in this situation being on a mound, and you know when a ball's hit to a certain player that it might be 50-50 that they field it cleanly and throw it out, and when they do, you're like, "Phew, all right, good, he got him." But when they don't, your body language, like it's hard. Like I think about me when that happens, like I have to keep talking to myself, like, all right, niece, shake it off here, let's go. You just got to pitch around it. But at what point does the team keep seeing this happen over and over and over and over? And it's cost them games. Now, it didn't today, but I'm sitting here thinking when I see I wasn't even listening at this point when it happened. I just saw it pop up on the game cast and I was like, I would think I was in my office. Said, "You've got to be kidding me." He did it again, and I, at what point does they do they and obviously they're not, but at what point do they look at it and say we've got to make a move because it's killing the team? I mean, obviously, like you said, they're not at this point. We're down to the end of the season. Like they're three losses away from being done. So, um, I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't bother them as much because they bounced back the very next half inning and scored one, and then the next inning they scored five. So right after it happened, they answered back with six unanswered. Actually, they scored 10 unanswered after that over the next few innings. But I don't know. I was thinking about that this afternoon, just not just from the whole team, but from a pitcher standpoint. Like, you're on the mound and you keep seeing this guy make routine plays into errors. Like, at what point does it become deflating? Maybe it's not bothering him like I think it would bother me, because it used to bother me a whole lot, and I had to coach myself into trying to pitch around it when those things would happen. And that happens to any team. Like, you're gonna have errors when you're playing, and you just got to work through it. And I think that's the thing with this whole team, Harb, right now is we're all like waiting for them to bust out and get it corrected and turn it around, and it's just not happened. And I'm still kind of going back on the Arkansas thing. I know Tennessee won today 15-10. It was a nice win. I'll look up here in a second where Alabama's at, but um, I don't know. We've been waiting and waiting, and maybe now it's just who they are. And maybe we should have said that 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's just who they are. Maybe we did. I don't know, but um, I don't have a ton of faith in them right now. I'm hopeful, like I said last week, that getting out of SEC play and getting into the big dance where they're playing some teams not, supposedly the caliber of the SEC, that it helps them out and gets them going a little bit. But if they keep making these mistakes over and over, it really costs you this time of year, and they just can't do that. So, um, I'm looking at the RPI right now. Tennessee's 16, Alabama's 9. So they beat the number 9 team in college baseball RPI today. And they're playing Texas tomorrow, who's number 4. So say they were to go beat Texas tomorrow on Thursday, they would have beaten two top 10 RPI teams in less than 24 hours, basically.
Let me ask you this. If this team makes a run to the SEC championship game, how much does your opinion change?
I think it's still going to be in the back of my mind because they've played like this for so long. But I think it definitely gives me a little boost, morale boost. I'm sure it does the team. I was listening to another podcast. I think it was the VolQuest podcast, and they asked Austin Price, like, or they asked all of them, what do they need to do going into the NCAA tournament down in Hoover? And he said, you know what? I would just throw a bullpen game on Wednesday, and if they win, great. And if they lose, oh well, they can come home and rest, get ready for the big dance. There was a different opinion of, well, they need to win one or two games to get a little morale boost, a little momentum going before they head into the tournament because they've not had much of that lately. I kind of saw both sides of it, but if they go out and beat Texas tomorrow, I think the mindset, even if they were to lose in the semifinals, I think the mindset going into the NCAA tournament, it does give them a little bit of boost. But to me, they've been making these mistakes and playing a certain way for so long, over a month and a half now, that it's kind of who they are. So it's still going to, like, I'm still not going to be, like last year, you go into the regional, like, I wasn't even paying attention to who we played. It's like, oh, like, Tennessee should win this one, no problem. And they did. But, um, it's not that way this year. Like, it's going to be a grind for them to get out of wherever they're going, whether it's Morgantown or whether it's Atlanta or whether it's Knoxville. Say they win a couple this weekend, they might go back into the hosting category, beating two teams like this. But yeah, my confidence is not very high on this team right now. I'm very hopeful they figure it out and turn it around, though. I'm not giving up on them, but I did Saturday. I'll just be honest. I'll admit it. I text some people and I said, F this, I'm going outside to wash my truck. I can't do this anymore. And it's just bad baseball.
The reason I asked you that is because last week we said that you either have to win the series at Arkansas or you got to make a little bit of a run in the SEC tournament.
Hmm.
But we obviously didn't do that against Arkansas. So by process of elimination, you got to win a couple games in the tournament.
Yep.
And why I disagree with whoever said throw a bullpen if you win, cool. If you don't, who cares? Go rest. This team needs to prove it to themselves because it's been a long damn time since it's happened that you can put two quality wins back to back.
Yeah. They haven't won back-to-back games in weeks.
I mean, if you
SEC games.
right, yeah, if you exclude the midweek games, did we win back to back at Ole Miss, or did we win the first and the third?
First and third.
Oh yeah, that's been probably
Yeah.
since we were in Florida.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah. It's been months.
yeah. So, and this may be an overreaction, but I think it would do wonders for this team if they can put together two quality wins back to back in consecutive days. Now, if they don't win and they lose like a tight game and play clean for the most part, it's not the end of the world. Texas is good, obviously, but I think it would benefit this team a lot to win two or three games in a row, just to be like, look back at the last few months, and be like, what were we doing? Like we could have done this the whole time, and have that
Yeah.
mindset going into regionals. And if you win two or three games, you're probably back into hosting. So that's another big thing as well.
So the last time they won back-to-back baseball games in a series was South Carolina on March 29th and March 30th. They actually swept South Carolina that weekend. But if you want to get technical, they won the Sunday game at South Carolina and then the Friday game against Texas A&M at home. And then after that, they've never won back-to-back games. So that was on April 4th. And it's May 21st as of this recording. So that's how long it's been since they won back-to-back games. So
Yeah, so tomorrow's game's huge.
it's a big game. I mean, it's not a must
People
win
that
or
are listening,
anything, but if they want to host, it is.
the people that are listening, today's game, what time do we play?
That is a great question because the times got moved around because of the weather delay. It was originally supposed to be at 10:30 a.m., so I'm gonna pull it up right here and see what the new schedule looks like. So bear with me. It says Thursday, May 22nd at 4 o'clock Eastern time. So it's gotten pushed back quite a bit. It was originally supposed to be like 9:30 in the morning, but games have been delayed. So they won't get to finish the whole second round. Like Texas A&M and Auburn will play tomorrow morning or tomorrow, yeah, at 11. Texas A&M 14 seed versus Auburn, and then number 8 Tennessee plays number 1 Texas at 4 o'clock. So it'd be interesting to see how Texas approaches this too. Do they throw any of their aces, weekend guys, or what do they do? It's always kind of fun to watch a tournament like this because you don't know what they're going to do pitching matchup wise. I was a little surprised they threw Phillips today, but I also could see why they threw him because he's going on 6 days rest, but they may be trying to set him up, get him some extra rest for next week before the NCAA tournament. So yeah, if you're not paying attention, SEC tournament's going on right now. Vols move on to the quarterfinals against the number 1 overall seed, SEC regular season champion, Texas Longhorns. Hopefully, we're doing that. If you're listening, we're doing horns down. Well, I am. Harbin's not. Now he is. So we'll see. We mentioned NCAA tournament projections. Most of them now have us as a 2 seed, either going to Atlanta for Georgia Tech, West Virginia, Morgantown. I don't know where the third one is, but right now consensus solid very high number 2 seed. But like we said, they win that Texas game and maybe win one more. The guys on the SEC network this afternoon seem to think today's win over Alabama secured them a home. They're also homers for the SEC, but they seem to think Todd Walker and all of them seem to think that winning that game against Bama today secured them the number 16 seed or a home regional. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think, reiterating my point, I think you got to win two in a row to have a legitimate case.
I wouldn't if I was on the committee. I wouldn't give them a home series unless they won a couple games in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, how can you justify a team that hasn't won back-to-back conference games in 2.5 months hosting a regional?
It's just crazy though because they've got Georgia Tech hosting, and Georgia Tech is number 20 in the RPI. They're 39 and 16 overall. Tennessee's 41 and 15 and number 16 in the RPI. So all their numbers and metrics are better, but Tennessee's lost 5 of their last 6 series. It's the optics of it. They don't look great. They've not looked great in some of those games that they've lost. So, I did see this before we move on, Harbin. There's only been one team in SEC baseball history to win 16 games in SEC play and not host a regional. Who do you think that was?
I would assume it's us since you
It
said
it was us 2 years ago in 2023. How many wins do we have this year in SEC play?
I would assume 16.
16. And we're not going to host unless something happens. So twice in
It's
SEC
2020,
history.
2023 when we went to Clemson.
Yes. And then went to Southern Miss in Hattiesburg and won that one. Good times.
Honestly, it may be good for us to not host.
Yeah, I've talked to several people and that's been their consensus. Like maybe we need to go on the road. Take
Yeah.
the pressure off of us.
Well, not even the pressure, just, I mean, we've been saying it for a month and a half, but just find something to light a fire. Like you're defending national champs, you start off 21-0, and you shit the bed so bad that you got to go to Morgantown. Like, just, we need some bulletin board material. And I'm sure they're trying to find some, but
Well, I'm sure they are. I mean, it's like I said last week. I don't think they're not trying or they're not trying to get each other fired up. They just can't find a way to get it going. And I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe today it got them going. Getting a bunch 15 runs on 20 hits. There was total of 25 runs scored today between both teams. 30 hits. Alabama had 10 hits, 10 runs on 10 hits. Tennessee had 15 runs, 20 hits. Not much pitching going on in this game. So next thing I wanted to bring up, Harb, is have you seen this? Have you heard this? Zakai Zeigler filing a lawsuit to get a 5th year. And the story I tried to bring up went away. He's suing the NCAA to try to get a 5th year of eligibility to, I guess, come back to Tennessee. I would assume. The lawsuit was filed Tuesday in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Tennessee. Says we have requested a preliminary injunction to allow Zakai to compete in the upcoming season while pursuing his graduate studies. We look forward to a swift resolution of this matter so that Zakai can begin preparing for the next season. He is represented by the Garza Law Firm and Litson PLLC. NCAA says in a statement that the association fully supports athletes profiting from name, image, and likeness, along with other benefits, and is working for such reforms, which includes a proposed $2.8 billion settlement of an antitrust lawsuit. What do you think about this? You think Ziegler's got a chance?
yeah, I do. I don't know if it's minus money, but yeah, this is going to be interesting. But what's weird about it's been like these have kind of been case by case,
Yeah.
and that's not how it should be. Personal opinion. Uh, which the NCAA opened this can of worms when they said that JUCO doesn't affect your eligibility, and that's going to go down as one of the worst rulings of all
Yeah.
time. That's just
Still
so.
don't get that one.
Now, I brought this up a few episodes back when we were talking about Gainey. I would love to have both those guys back. And don't take this the wrong way, but for the sake of college sports, I kind of hope they don't win, or the NCAA doesn't rule for everybody gets 5 years. Especially coupling that with JUCO, you're gonna have guys that have 7 years of eligibility that don't get hurt. You play 7 years straight of collegiate sports, you're gonna get injured at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not season long. I'm not saying that. I'm not
I
wishing.
I finally saw that Cam Rising has decided to retire after how many years did he play at Utah? Seriously, he came out the other day and said he's retiring, medically retiring. I was like, seriously, he should have been done 2 years ago.
He was in Utah before the Jazz were.
He was in Utah when the Jazz were still in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Pistol Pete was playing for him.
yeah, yeah. I think they drank beers together. Uh, but I mean, as far as the question goes of does he have a chance? Yeah. Now a lot of people out there are gonna be like, oh well, he plays for Tennessee, so no, he doesn't have a chance. I think that's so dumb. I disagree with that. I mean, it did happen with forgive me on his name, but the North Carolina transfer baseball.
Oh, Osuna.
Yes,
Free Osuna.
Mozuna from the Braves. Uh, I don't know. Like the NCAA has been so pass and go, and there's not really been a ton of rhyme or reason to their outcomes in some of these things. So like, why doesn't like the Osuna kid? He played JUCO before we went to North Carolina, correct?
Yes, at Walter State.
Yeah. All right. Well, why does JUCO count in that case, but not in Diego Pavia? Is it because it's football and there's more money involved?
It must.
I mean, do you really want 27-year-olds lining up against 18-year-olds? Somebody's going to get killed. It's just genetics at that point. It reminds me of a funny thing I saw on Twitter the other night. It was like, if you, in 99.9% of cases, if you're good enough to play D1 football, you're the best player at your school. You're, unless you're at a mega school, you're probably at least one of the best players in your school's history. And that's just how most division like power four starters work in college football. But it's really fun to look when a future 9-time Pro Bowler hits a future lawyer.
Yeah.
You can really tell the difference. Now imagine, I mean, if you're 26 playing college football, are you going to be a 9-time Pro Bowler? Probably not. Let's just be honest on that. If you're good enough, you're going to leave within 3 years, no matter what. But the whole thing's dumb. And the reason I say that Zakai may or may not get it is because that they're not consistent. So we don't know. They may look at his case and be like, "Oh yeah, he's got a really good case. Yeah, sure, give him a 5th year." Or they may be like, "Dude, go get a job." And I think if unless you're extremely educated on the subject, and or you practice law, I don't think you can say that you absolutely know yes or no. If somebody put a gun to my head and I had to put my savings account on it, I would say that he does not get a fifth year of eligibility. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, what if him and Gainey both get it?
That'd be
Like,
awesome
I
for
mean,
the 2025-2026 Tennessee
yeah,
basketball team.
oh,
That'd
it'd
be
be
awesome.
great. So my question is, if Ziegler does get it, we've brought in Jacoby Gillespie to play point guard. I guess we just figure it out and go. Because what I've read and what I've heard talking to people is the reason Gillespie didn't transfer here last year was because he knew Zakai Zeigler was here. What does that change anything? I mean, I don't think he's going to go anywhere at this point. I think he's where he wants to be, but do they go back and kind of do the year Ziegler was a freshman and Kennedy Chandler, they were both here. They had Ziegler playing off the ball pretty much. Chandler was the point guard. So could they do something like that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of one of those embarrassment of riches things again. And I think you look at it, it's got Tennessee right now. They're anywhere from 15 to 20 in the preseason rankings or off-season rankings. We're not even to the preseason yet. But if you add a Ziegler back into the equation and or a Gainey, I think that boosts them up to at least the top 15, if not higher, especially with Ziegler coming back. Um,
I think if you bring both of them back, they're automatic top 10.
Yeah, I agree. And they're probably one of the top two or three picks to win the SEC next year. Right now, I think they're probably a pick to finish in the top four. I don't know if they would be picked to win it. They're going to pick Arkansas or Florida or Alabama, but
I'll be
maybe
picking
Auburn. But um, I mean, I think Tennessee's right there in the discussion for the top four. But if you add those two back into the mix, they're definitely in the conversation, at least in the preseason to win the
Other
whole
bit.
thing, to win the whole thing again.
Speaking of Arkansas and Florida, did you see where Biggie Flan went to Florida?
I did not.
As long as I didn't get Richard G. Wested.
I haven't been on much of anything the last day or two, so I don't know that. Well, we'll keep your eye on that one, and we'll definitely keep our eye on it. I don't know what the time frame is on this. I'm guessing that I'm hoping Ziegler and his team are hoping it comes to a swift resolution, but the NCAA probably wants to drag it out, and we know how the justice system works in this country, or the judicial system works in this country. It doesn't move very quickly, so we'll see. Um, Moving on to our next topic, Harbin, Adidas and Nike. It was reported by esteemed journalist Richard G. West earlier this week that Tennessee will be accepting a near $200 million contract here very soon with Adidas. And Richard G. West isn't wrong very much. All jokes aside, I'm trying to figure this one out. It's either true that we're going to accept it, or Tennessee has been talking to Adidas and they're floating this out here to gauge fan reaction. Fan reaction on social media has not been positive. Now there's been a few players come out and say it was, I guess, trash. You know, Adidas, they were not fans of Adidas. Let's just put it that way. Is it really that big of a deal, Harbin, who we're with, Adidas or Nike or Jumpman or On Cloud or whoever it is? Like, should we worry about who we're with, or should we worry about what they're paying us? Because right now, according to what I'm reading, we're getting crumbs from Nike. We're not in the upper echelon of Nike schools.
Well, you mentioned the first two options of what it was. And personally, I think it's the third option. I think they're using this as leverage to try to get more money out of Nike,
Yeah,
as they should. And if that is the move, I think that's the smartest move. I mean, I don't know if this number is correct, but I believe we're getting 1 million a year
I think that's
from,
what I've read. Yes,
and Texas and Ohio State we're getting 11, I think.
something like that. It's a
Which
lot more than we're getting.
which is a laughable disparity. If you want to give Texas and Ohio State more than us, I'm not going to argue with that. But us getting less than a tenth of what they're getting, with as good as our athletic program has been and as big as our fan base is, and the amount of exposure at high level events as we've had. I mean, we've already said it. College football playoff, back to back Elite Eights, uh, baseball national championship. I mean, we're there in pretty much everything, and I don't understand how the pay discrepancy could be as large as it is. And if Adidas offers us a shit ton of money, I get why you take it.
I do too.
However, I do think, and this sounds dumb, but it's not. It just is what it is, and I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. If we leave Nike and go to Adidas, it's going to hurt recruiting for sure.
So
I truly, truly believe that.
So that's funny. The reason if you're watching, you saw me kind of grinning or smirking just a second ago. So this came out this afternoon. Breaking news: four-star edge rusher Zach Groves has committed to Tennessee. 6'4", 240 Cross Plains, Tennessee native is the number 27 edge rusher and the number 238 player overall in the 2026 class. He picks Tennessee over Georgia, USC, Clemson, and Ole Miss. First comment, Harbin, down below. How is this possible? I was told that with us switching to Adidas, no one would play for Tennessee. So it gets better. So while we've been recording, it's come out that Tennessee Athletics Director Danny White has been named Athletic Director of the Year by the Sports Business Journal. Well deserved, I think. Done a great job. Here's some of the comments. Here's hoping Danny White doesn't give it all away by diminishing UT's brand with the hideously cheap Adidas garbage. Not definitely not worth looking like upwardly rejects for just $5 million more per year. Hashtag protect the brand. Hashtag protect the T. Let's see. Here's another one. Where'd it go? Not if he switches to Adidas, he isn't. Oh, ticket prices just went up again. A lot of great comments. Oh, here's one. He's a clown. I don't understand that one. Um, there was another one. Oh, here's one. This is a good one by Jackson the Mule Thomas. What a name, Harbin. He says this is the biggest load of horse shit I've ever seen.
We'll click his bio and see who he's a fan
Let's see who he is. Well, he's wearing a Canadian tuxedo with no shirt, and it's a vest, like a denim vest, unbuttoned. And his back or his bio, or I guess his wallpaper, whatever you want to call it, at the top of the page is Miller Lite logos.
of. Do not let your aunt around this man.
UTK alum '02, professional beer taster, finance master. Yeah, do not let your aunt around Jackson the Mule Thomas.
I mean, if he's wearing an unbuttoned Canadian tuxedo and his nickname's the Mule, I mean, my God.
He also tweeted,
Save some for the
he
photos.
added Danny White. So 2 days ago, Knoxville police posted efforts are underway to locate a man who reportedly jumped from the South Knoxville Bridge near Riverside Drive in an apparent suicide attempt. He quote tweeted it and said, "Me if the Vols switch to Adidas at Danny White." If you don't follow, and I don't follow Jackson the Mule Thomas, I think I'm gonna follow him and see what see what the mule's up to day.
Let's get him on the show.
I'm gonna send him a message see if he wants to join us.
Yeah. Let's see if we can
I
set
got to
up.
do it before they switch to Adidas though, because he's gonna jump off the Riverside Bridge if they do.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Maybe he could live stream it.
It would be great if he did. As he plummets into the water, plunges into the water. We're watching it on Periscope or or whatever it's on.
Anyhow,
But yeah, I look,
here's my thought.
I said it last week, Harb. I honestly don't care. I mean, I think obviously Nike carries a little more prestige with it, and it's got that brand name recognition. But Adidas is, I think, if I've read this correctly, they're the second largest apparel slash shoe company in the world. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well,
Maybe I
yeah.
should do. But I mean, you look at it, but I guess we have flashbacks to some of the atrocious uniforms we had back in the day. But I remember when,
Also, most of Adidas sells soccer
right.
and
So
global.
yeah, and they used to be big in baseball and like cleats, but they're not as big anymore. But I remember, I'll never forget this. I was going into my eighth grade year of middle school when Tennessee switched to Adidas, and it was a really big deal. Like we wore Sports Bell, which for those that don't remember, go back and look at the mid 90s. We had the little Bell logo on our jerseys, but Tennessee also wore Nike shoes, and I had a Nike hat growing up, Tennessee, a Tennessee Nike sweatshirt. My dad still got a Nike sweatshirt from the mid 90s. So they did make Nike's Tennessee apparel back in the day. But I remember when they switched to Adidas, it was like a huge deal. And for my birthday, I got a Peyton Manning, Tennessee, which I still have, Peyton Manning, Tennessee Adidas jersey. And I was like, it was a real orange jersey with white numbers with an Adidas logo on it. And I wore it all the time. I still probably should wear it more than I do. And I remember they gave me a poster, and it was Philip Fulmer looking all serious, and his T. It was a great picture with a power T highlighted on his hat. And I can't remember the slogan that ran into the last letter of the word ended in a T. I'll have to find it. But it was like a big deal when Tennessee did that. And over the years, so Tennessee was with Adidas. Nobody really cared. But then as it went along, you start seeing schools with Nike and you start seeing schools with Under Armour, and you start getting jealous because they're putting out these cool looking jerseys. They got Nike swoosh on, and Tennessee's not really doing anything. And there's not a whole lot of other schools with Adidas. There was Wisconsin, I think, and maybe Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Some of those schools were with Nike or Adidas at the time, but they put out some hideous. I won't even say football jerseys. The gray football jerseys they first put out were not great. But some of those basketball jerseys they put out back in the day were awful. They were awful.
The,
Um,
the best thing Adidas did for UT was, and we talked about this a year or two ago. I
yeah.
randomly remember this. Was the baseball jerseys when we were awful,
See, I
but they
don't even like those, but there's a lot of people that
but
do.
they were styled like the old Astros jersey.
Yes, and Louisville actually still wears those.
But the hilarious thing is, and it brings me into my next point. They had like four different shades of orange on them, and I think it was just them putting every shade of orange that they've made for UT on one.
Probably.
That was like that was the biggest thing that was annoying for me, especially looking back on it. Like we went through a phase where our jerseys were damn near yellow, and if you had two or three pieces of Adidas gear, none of the orange matched. None of it. And like, how hard is it to just pick one shade? Like for a school as big as Tennessee is, how hard is it?
You know it.
Hockey has
If
done a phenomenal job with that part.
Well, they have. They absolutely have. If you go back and look, I think the best job Adidas did with Tennessee football was those '06 and '07 jerseys. Especially on the road. They had the black outline on it. The oranges seemed to match. It was a deep PMS 151 shade of orange. The home jerseys, everything was great. And then it just went back to crap again. And they just never could. You would look at pictures. I remember seeing one the other day, and um, it was Jason Witten in the 2001 Citrus Bowl, and his jersey is a different shade of orange than the helmet stripe on his helmet, and like nothing ever matched. Go back and look at the '97 SEC championship game. We wore white. We were the road team in the Georgia Dome. the numbers on the jerseys didn't match the helmet stripe. Like nothing ever matched with Adidas. And I think that was a lot of people's gripe. Their apparel that they sold to fans wasn't terrible. I actually still have about three or four Adidas polos back here, Harb. So if they switch back, I maybe don't have to buy anything. But that was another thing that kept getting brought up, and I don't want to linger on this too much longer, but a lot of people kept saying, "We don't want to buy that. We don't want to get that." Hey guys, if you're listening, I got news for you. There's a lot of other brands out there now than there was back in the late 2010s that you can buy Tennessee stuff from, and it's probably better quality. You've got Vol Traditions, um, Johnny O, Peter Millar, Turtleson, Cutter and Buck. I mean, there's all kinds of different brands you can buy. So don't buy Adidas. If it's that big of a deal, don't buy Adidas. I keep telling people this in Straw Plains Harbor. Everybody's bitching and moaning about this new Ace hardware being built over here. And they're like, how can they build that? We got Stormer's True Value hardware up here. And I'm like, then don't shop there. If it's that big of a deal, don't shop there. Just don't go there. Go up to Dusty's place. Shout out Dusty if you're listening.
I'm gonna be chicken shit real quick.
Okay.
Of the 12 teams that made the college football playoff, can you name which ones wore which apparel?
List me the teams and I probably can.
The only Adidas one off the top of my head, and I think they're Adidas, is Arizona State.
Indiana.
Are they Adidas?
Let me look. I think they are. I don't remember who made the playoffs. I tried to forget about it.
See here, you had Arizona State, you had Indiana.
I'm pretty sure Indiana's Adidas.
Okay, well, there's two. Then you got Notre Dame, which is Under Armour. Is SMU Under Armour?
Uh,
This is very good podcasting right now.
yeah, we're really bringing the heat, aren't we?
We're absolutely killing it.
They're Roback. No, they're not. It's the first thing that popped up. I want to think they were. I want to think they were Adidas, weren't they?
Okay, well, we're gonna go down the bracket.
I'm
You
gonna
t-
guess. I'm gonna guess. Okay,
okay, Ohio State,
Nike,
Tennessee,
Nike,
Texas,
Nike,
Clemson,
Nike,
Penn State,
Nike.
hmm. SMU.
I think they're Adidas.
I think they're Under Armour.
They might be. They're not Nike. I know that.
Notre Dame,
Under Armour,
Indiana.
Adidas,
Okay, Oregon,
Nike, duh,
Georgia,
Nike.
Boise State.
Are they Nike or Under Armour?
I think they're Nike.
They're Nike.
They are very much so Nike.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up SMU's real quick.
Now I know like Florida is Jumpman. Like Florida
SMU,
North.
SMU is also Nike.
Okay, I was wrong then. Is that all the teams?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I got most of them right except for
So two. Wait, no.
Adidas was SMU or
No. Just Indiana.
just Indiana. What about Arizona State?
Oh, my bad. So I think Arizona State is also Adidas. Let's look it up.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
So here's find your team on Adidas. Washington, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Nebraska. Nebraska and Tennessee, I think were the first two big ones to switch to Adidas back in the late 90s. North Carolina State, Mississippi State, Miami, Florida, Louisville, Kansas, Indiana, Grambling State, Georgia Tech, Arizona State, and Alabama State.
Do you see the point I'm making here?
A lot of powerhouses in there.
Yeah. You see the point I'm making here?
But it sounds to me from what you read is they want to make Tennessee their flagship. Their Oregon, I guess you might say. Like Oregon is Nike's
Well, and that's
school.
cool. But I'll believe him when we have one damn shade of orange. They had 20 years to do it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
I mean,
that's crazy.
they can say all they want, but by God, they better do better than the first time they had us.
We'll keep our eyes on that one. That's going to be a developing story as we go throughout the summer because I think it will happen. There'll be something happen within the next 2 to 4 weeks on that, I think. I think it's sometime in June it's going to come out.
I don't, and I'm not opposed to the switch. Like aesthetically, I would rather have Nike. But if Adidas is going to drop the bag on us and make us their first priority in college football, because we're not going to be ahead of Kansas in basketball, it's just not going to happen. Uh, I'm for it, but we've had a sample size, and that just I would have to see it before I believe it. Because out of every school you just named, the only quote unquote football school is Miami. Well, Nebraska's a football school,
Wa-
but they're not good.
Washington would be the only other one besides Nebraska or Miami. I mean, that's their biggest sport
They care
historically.
more about basketball.
It's probably true, yes.
Yeah. So
And hopefully, by the way, I hope that's a game we do not drop in the future to go to Washington.
that'd be cool.
I will need to go to that. All right, we'll keep our eyes on that one. Moving on because we got a couple more things briefly to talk about. Updated win-loss totals were released for football, Harbin, this week. Now, I know we'll get into more of this as the season gets closer, but Tennessee was originally at over under win total for the 2025 season. Was it originally at 8, or now it's at 8.5? It originally was at 9.5 before Nico Iamaleava's transfer. It's the fourth highest total in the SEC, trailing Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, who are all three at 9.5. Others of note that Tennessee will play: Florida 7.5, Oklahoma 6.5, Arkansas 5.5, Kentucky and Vandy are both set at 4.5, Mississippi State 3.5. So Tennessee, as far as the over/under on win-loss total, is ahead of their opponents of one, two, three, four, five, six of
We're gonna
SEC. So that's
we're
six.
we're gonna lose to one of them.
Which one do we lose to? Just right out of the gate.
Rattle them off one more time.
Florida 7.5, Oklahoma 6.5, Arkansas 5.5, Kentucky Vandy 4.5, Mississippi State 3.5. Now we're at Florida, we're at Mississippi State, and we're at Kentucky, hosting Vandy and Oklahoma and Arkansas.
I mean, Gainesville's a loss until it's not.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
it
is.
is what it is.
Do you
I
think
like I like the over 8.5.
most people I've listened to or read still like Tennessee over the 8.5? I'm trying to pull our schedule
Yeah.
up.
I mean, we went 10-2 last year with average quarterback play at best.
So not to do a deep dive into this schedule, but very quickly, we open with Syracuse and Atlanta, then we host ETSU. I think even with our current quarterback situation, I can safely say we win those first two games. It might not be the prettiest thing, especially against Syracuse, but Syracuse is down this year. They lost a lot from a decent team last year.
If they still had Cal McCord, I would be
Oh,
nervous.
oh yeah. Then we host Georgia. That's and then we got UAB. Trent Dilfer.
Hmm.
He's still at UAB. He'll be in the house. So you're looking at Tennessee more than likely out of the gate starting 3-1. I'm just not counting Georgia as a win right now until I look more into it.
It's a,
Then you go to Mississippi State. They're not very good. I mean, their over win total's 3.5. So you're looking at a 4-1 start, hopefully. Then Arkansas comes to town. I don't know much about Arkansas, so I'm not even going to get into that. Then you go to Tuscaloosa, probably a loss. Who knows? Then you go to Kentucky, historic Kroger Field. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. Then you've got OU here
Stop
in
me if you've heard
Knoxville.
this one. Kentucky has a new quarterback in that they're acting like
I was about to say,
side.
who's their new 1-year quarterback?
I
Um,
forgot who it is, but
you get
you'll
into November, you're hosting Oklahoma at Neyland, New Mexico State at Neyland, and then you go to Ben Hill Griffin to play the Gators, and then you wrap it up with Vandy at home. So just browsing at this schedule, I've got us beating Vandy, obviously New Mexico State, Kentucky, Mississippi State, UAB, ETSU, and Syracuse. That's seven just without me doing any research. So I mean, I don't know what to think about Arkansas. I don't know what Oklahoma is going to be like this year. So you could be looking at either 8 or 9 right there of one of those teams. I don't know. There's so many unknowns as we go into this season. I want to pick over 8.5, but I'm thinking more under, but at 8 is what I'm thinking more like an 8-4 season.
I mean, like I said earlier, we went 10-2 with average quarterback play last year. And in conference play, it was maybe slightly below average. Do you think Merklinger can't throw 19 touchdowns with 14 of them being against UTC, UAB, TSU, whoever the hell
New
they are?
Mexico. Yeah, he can.
But yeah, it can definitely happen. We're a run first team anyway.
Well, that's the good thing. I think Tennessee's still going to have really good running backs. The offensive line could be all right. So if they rely on that running game and the defense is adequate, they'll be okay. But I just, without knowing more and looking into it and looking at the numbers, I'm picking at least 7 right out of the gate. But I'm thinking more of an 8-4 season probably.
As of
Um,
May 21st, I'm taking the over 8.5.
Fair, and a lot of others are too. I would, as of May 21st, I'm taking the under. But I'm going barely under. I'm saying 8-4 right now.
I'm not going way over. I mean, I'm thinking like 9-3.
Yeah. It would that would not be with everything that's happened. This is one of those, I hate to say it, it's kind of like a 2023. It's kind of a bridge year. That class coming in 26 is loaded. And
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to I saw this tweet from a guy I follow. He was like, if Tennessee switches to Adidas and they throw all this cash at us, it is unacceptable for Tennessee football to not have top 5 recruiting classes from here on out.
I would agree with that.
I don't disagree with that. Like, why would we finish 13th if we're getting $200 million?
I'm going to slightly redact my statement from like 20 minutes ago.
What was that?
I think brands mattered more in recruiting when you couldn't openly pay players.
Yes, I agree.
Now, hell, you could roll out there and Russell, but you give a guy $15 million, he'll be like, I'll wear whatever you tell me to wear.
That's why I said in our text group the other day, hell, just switch to OnCloud. At least the shoes would be more comfortable. Oh, we play New Mexico State on my birthday this year, Harbin, November 15th.
Oh, wow.
It'll
Taking,
probably be a noon. It'll probably be a noon game.
is that the Lobos or the Aggies?
It's the Aggies.
Taking Aggies money line because you're a black cat.
Yeah, the Aggies are New Mexico. Or sorry, the Lobos are New Mexico. The Aggies are New Mexico State.
The
Got a cool
Lob,
little logo, cowboy with a lasso.
the New Mexico Fighting Brian Urlachers.
Is that where he went?
No, I just said that for the hell of it.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yes, yes, that is where he went.
Brian Urlacher with hair now. Unbelievable. And David Ross. David Ross has hair all of a sudden.
Anything is possible.
Maybe I should try that.
Like Walden Goggins said, he said, my hairline's not receding. It's been here since it's 7. This thing is maintaining.
By the way, there was a good clipped video of Uncle Baby Billy complaining and moaning that was going around last week. I've probably watched it 400 times. It's so awesome. And the title of the video is like me when I turned 60. I was like, I think it's me right now.
Well, you are about a 67-year-old living in your body.
True. With the way I talk about jerseys and tradition and everything, that's what people think. Let's see, Harbin. I had one other thing. You put this bullet point in, so I'll let you talk about it very quickly here. PGA Championship. What happened?
The boogeyman is back.
Uh-oh.
Scotty Scheffler reminding everyone who is the best player in the world. There's a lot of chatter about that whiny crybaby front runner Rory McIlroy because he won the Masters. Cool, congrats. And also, there's a lot of people talking about how Scotty acted in Butler Cabin. Like a lot of the people were like, "Oh, he just wanted Rory to have his moment. That's why he wasn't being all, cheery and happy." And
What did he do? I don't remember this.
pretty much, he put the jacket on him, and he was kind of standing around like waiting for his cue to get out, and he just exited stage left. He was like, "I'm not hanging around for
He
this
pulled
shit."
a Morgan Wallen at Saturday Night Live.
Kinda, kinda. It was pretty much. It was very close to that. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's letting Rory have his moment." Scotty is a super nice guy, but I think he was like, "No, it's time for me to remind y'all who I am and who's the sheriff in town." I mean, he's Terminator. He's the sheriff. Since this is a Tennessee podcast, he it's just what he is. And I knew something was up because going into the weekend, he was in seventh, and he was 5 shots behind. And if you looked at all of the sports books, he was plus 200 to win at 5 shots back. He was only 2 under for the tournament. Everybody knew. Nobody thought Jonathan Vegas was going to hang on with Scotty
I saw him.
Scheffler.
I remember seeing him on the leaderboard, and I was like, "Oh, he's just six back. That's nothing."
Yeah. Yeah, Alex Noren was really going to put up a fight. No disrespect to Alex Noren, but he shot like 75 final round playing with Scotty. And credit to John Rahm. John Rahm made a hell of a push. Like Scotty had like a 5 shot lead going into Sunday, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is gonna be a blowout." Well, Scotty shoots like 1 or 2 over on the front. John Rahm shoots like 3 or 4 under on the front, and all of a sudden it's tied when Scotty's on like the 11th hole. And that was a really exciting hour and a half because for a moment you're like, is Rahm gonna catch fire and Scotty gonna not crumble but not do enough? And then John Rahm just absolutely imploded. And then a couple other guys made some bogeys, and the next thing you know, with 3 to play, Scotty's up 6. So it's funny, I was listening to another podcast, and it was like the guys that scheduled their Sunday nap for mid-round to watch the back nine, they went to sleep when Scotty had a 5 shot lead. And then they woke up and he had a 6 shot lead. And it's like, oh, yeah, I definitely didn't miss anything.
Yeah,
He actually kind of missed a lot.
yeah.
Thought it was fun. Been a lot of talk about Quail Hollow. I kind of fall into the category of I don't like it being a PGA site because they already play there every year at what used to be the Wells Fargo. Now they call it the Truist. Uh, yeah.
So you don't
Another
think
one
it
that's
should be the PGA Championship, or it should be another major, or no major at all?
I don't think it should be a major because you already have an elevated event there. And that's the whole reason that they play the Truist at Philadelphia Cricket Club because Quail Hollow had the
The
PGA for this year.
right, because there's
It's
been
cool.
some talk.
That's some history. Like
Well, it's
with
hosted the President's Cup here, like it the last year or two. So
there's nothing wrong with the golf course. It's just pick one. Is kind of how I feel about it.
I
Like you could,
went.
there's a lot of different golf courses you could add to it.
I went over there a couple years, or it's been more than a couple now. I guess it was 2017 when Justin Thomas won it, and me and my uncle and some of his friends went, and I like that course is a beautiful golf course. That Green Mile, I see why they call it the Green Mile. Especially if you go up and stand on number 18 tee box where those guys tee off from. I'm standing there like, holy cow! I don't think I can get this ball to the creek down here, and they're putting it, bombing it down in the middle of the fairway. I'm sure I could. It looked very intimidating from standing up there. But I mean that's a tough golf course. It looked like it was in fantastic shape this past weekend. They've also had as much rain as we've had in East Tennessee lately, just getting dumped on constantly. I like Quail Hollow. I keep hoping at some point it'll host a Ryder Cup, maybe. I don't know if it ever will, but it could. I mean, they've hosted a President's Cup there,
Yeah.
so I never thought I'd see Holston Hills hosting the Knoxville Open either. So,
Well, it's much better than Foxdown.
yes,
That's a different conversation.
yes.
By the way, Scotty Scheffler now has the third shortest time between in PGA Tour history of well in the modern era, which I guess started in like the 50s or 60s. Uh, Third shortest time frame between first win on tour and 15th win on tour. I believe it's 3 years and 96 days or something like that. I'll let you guess who the two in front of him are.
I'm gonna guess one of them is named Eldrick Woods.
Yep, he was the shortest. Only got Scotty beat by like 2 months. And number two is 1A, 1B, or number two, however you look at it. It's Jack Nicklaus. So
Nice list.
yeah. Also, this was Scotty's 22nd major start. Got his third win. Tiger had five in his first 22. Uh, Obviously, a lot of things can happen. Nobody thought Tiger would fall off the way he did,
No,
but we could be in for a generational run the next decade or so if things go correctly with no injuries or personal life mishaps or anything like that. I mean, he did go to jail last year and he's cleaned up his act and kind of gotten it together.
from felon to major champion.
Oh, did you see that Nike ad?
Yeah, it was great.
Best player in the world? Question mark. Guilty.
Speaking of generational runs, do you think we could see a generational run at the Straw Plains Open Invitational, which is coming up starting next Wednesday?
I don't think it's if.
And who makes it if it's not, if it is an if,
Well, like I said, it's not an if,
or
and
if it's not an if, I'm sorry.
this is way too many ifs.
Yeah.
It's Team 3D. It is Team 3D.
Yes.
Reunited once again. And our other two mystery tag partners are Draper, correct?
That's what I'm going to, but I believe that's right. Yes. I'm pulling it up right now.
I looked at this the other day. I forgot. But I love our team. I do remember that I love our team.
Ricky Householder, Big Rick, Slick Rick is back.
Ricky.
He's good for a good layup or two. You can't be too careful. Looking at the other teams, just a loaded field here. Grubb, Burkhart, Jesse, and Brett Stanton. Drew, Catlin, Landry, and Paul. How about Paul joining the fray? Another team is Bell, Austin Hayes, Matt Gorman, buddy of mine Patrick Keck making his second appearance in the Invitational.
Friend of the show, Patrick Keck.
Patrick Keck, friend of the show. And we also mentioned our team, obviously. And then there's Bain, Charles, Griff, and Robert making his first Robert Schad making his first appearance. I did want to mention a tee time. I text Grub about this. I said, this is a really good tee time or a really good pairing. Foursome on Friday. The 8:39 pairing of Chad Grubb, Nathan Neese, negative Neese, Charles Schott, and Landry Stanton. That should be an electric group. And I'm very happy and pleased to be playing with Charles on Friday and not on Thursday.
Well,
Charles is playing on Charles is playing on Thursday with Drew, Gorman, and Brett.
oh boy.
Three that can handle him. So there we go. Looks like on Friday afternoon, it's me and you tagging up against the Shod brothers, Robert and Charles. So I'll name the courses we're playing at here on the trip: the Founders Club, Pawleys Island, Willbrook Plantation, Tradition Golf Club, and Caledonia Golf and Fish Club. Don't know anything about any of these courses. I've heard they're nice.
I'm looking so forward to playing Caledonia. I've never played it, and I've heard it's
I've heard it's very nice.
yeah. I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, might have to get me a souvenir from there, Harbin.
By the way, I know Charles. I don't know Robert, but the Shod brothers got an ass whooping coming Friday afternoon.
They just better get ready.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just better get ready.
If this episode finds either one of them, consider this your warning, fellas.
That's what hole do we get the table?
First tee.
First tee,
First
just right out of the gate. No, we're looking forward to it. We're all leaving in separate vehicles on Wednesday morning. We're probably going to try to play some of us, not all of us. Some of us are going to go to the beach, but some of us are going to play 9 holes on Wednesday once we get there Wednesday afternoon. Just a fun little fun round. And then Thursday we get it on with 18, 36 on Friday, and then 18 on Saturday, and then we come back to God's country. Get me back to God's country on Sunday is what I'll post. Like Morgan Wallen.
I know we're not going to Charleston, but do you think we'll see any gemstones in South Carolina?
Maybe they've been creating strip mall churches here recently. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them and what's the other church? They're in the strip malls. What a great. If you have not watched The Righteous Gemstones, I did not watch it when it first came out. I picked it up on the second season, or when the second season came out, I went back and watched the first season. I've been hooked ever since. And anything with Danny McBride is fantastic. But this show, like, I laugh every time I watch it, like hysterically. Just some of the stuff that's said and done. I just like it kills me sitting there watching it.
If there's any children listening to this show, don't watch it.
Do not watch if you're under the age of what, 13 or well, probably 16 or 18. Do
Legally,
not watch Righteous Gemstones.
I would say that we can't advise anyone under the age of 18 to watch that show. But,
No.
but I'd say if you got a driver's license, you're probably
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Kingston Griff, if you're listening, you can watch Righteous Gemstones. I'll allow it. You don't have to ask your mom or dad. Just tell him Uncle Nathan told you could watch it. All right, Harb, that's all I've got on my list. We will probably not record next week because we'll be on the road. But we'll be back. I don't know. Maybe we'll record Sunday night once we get back. I don't know what time we're coming home, but I think a lot of it will depend on the Tennessee Vols could be playing Sunday afternoon. I mean, obviously, if they get to the region championship game, they'll be playing on Sunday. But I don't know. That could be 1 in the afternoon. It could be 3, 5, 6 o'clock. I mean, I think last year they played toward the late afternoon on that Sunday because we got back from the golf trip and I left as soon as the round was over, got home, took a shower, and went straight to the ball game. Um, Obviously, probably won't be doing that this year. I just don't think we're hosting unless we win a couple in Hoover. But Tennessee could be playing that Sunday afternoon when we come back. But we'll see. I don't know. Keep you updated on our socials. But Tennessee's got some big ball games ahead of them coming up. First off's against Texas. Can they make some noise in the SEC tournament to maybe get back in that conversation to host here in Knoxville? And then where do they go if they don't? And can they get back to Omaha? It's going to be a challenge. I mean, Tony Vitello said it. This season, the margin for error has been so razor thin with this team. Like, you look at last year, they could just homer their way out of problems or slug their way out of problems. And they just, most of the time this year, they've not been able to do that. And they've not been able to overcome bad pitching or errors or bad situational hitting. They've just not been able to put it together. But if you're going to put it together, this is the time of year to do it. What better time than late May, early June to put it together? But we'll see. Keep everybody posted on our socials because it is doubtful that we will record between now and the NCAA tournament selection show. We'll probably record before the NCAA tournament begins, but the selection show's on that Monday after we get back from. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's this Monday. So we'll disregard everything I just said. We'll record when we get back, whether that's after the NCAA tournament or during it or whatever Tennessee's doing. So forget everything I just said. Wash it, flush it. So, Harb, you got anything before we go? I was going to do a hater and loser, but I'm afraid I'll get really long winded and I'm tired.
No, I'm just admiring. I've said it a million times. The YouTube split screen.
It's good.
Got game one of the Eastern Conference Finals for the NBA. Oh, speaking of, got a great finish coming down, and I've also got game one of the Western Conference Finals NHL on. Edmonton was up 3-1, and Dallas has scored three in a row to take the lead in the third period. Got two heaters right now, so
I do have a grievance I would like to file very quickly, not against the NBA or anything. I just see a headline that's popped up here. It says Trump honors champion Gators at White House. Why was Tennessee baseball never invited to the White House?
probably because it's baseball. I don't know.
Trump tweeted about congratulating Tennessee winning, but he wasn't in office when Tennessee won the national title. Sleepy Joe was. And I'm not even going to get into that whole fiasco. But you knew he wasn't going to invite us. He didn't even know Tennessee was playing baseball. He didn't even know what day of the week it was most of the time. But I was kind of hoping that once Trump got into office, he'd look back and say, you know what? Some of these teams didn't get invited to the White House. Y'all come up and hang out for a day. I've been disappointed that Tennessee baseball was never invited to the White House. And maybe they don't do that in college baseball. I don't know. But that was one thing I was kind of looking forward to when they won. It's like, oh, these boys get to go to the White House. But apparently not.
I would assume that's just for football and basketball.
I know the Lady Vols went a lot when they won the women's basketball title.
Yeah, that's basketball. Uh, I think I went to the Little White House.
The Little White House. I just Googled it. AI says, yes, college baseball teams that win the national championship traditionally visit the White House. So I
No.
don't know why Tennessee's not been visiting there or why they've not visited there. We'll have to figure that one out. So, anyways, I digress. Thank you all for listening. If you're watching us, you can listen to us in your truck, your car, your Uber, at work. If you're working out, jogging, running, whatever, catch us on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. If you're listening, be sure to go check out our YouTube page. You can see mine and Harbin's beautiful faces. And we're at Section YY8 Podcast. Just search it in the search bar on YouTube or Google search it and it'll come up. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share. I keep asking everybody to like and subscribe and share. Nobody's really doing that. So somebody get on there and comment. Do something. Harb Lover commented last week.
Who did?
Harb Lover.
Oh, gotcha.
He said if you want to actually listen to the show that talks about Tennessee, skip ahead to the 9 minute and 50 second mark. Because apparently you spent the first 9 minutes talking about the Celtics. We also had another comment
Already a
from,
sports podcast.
huh?
We are a sports podcast.
Yes. We talk about other things. We also had another comment from Brandon Watson, friend of the show, that said Harb finally turned his television down in the background. Not this week. He also wants to know why the light is so bright above your head on the video.
Maybe it's because I'm an angel.
Lights are bright around Harbin
Yeah.
all the time. But appreciate you guys listening. Um, we'll be back hopefully after we return from the golf trip at some point. So we'll update you on how that went. Hopefully Team 3D finds a way to bring home the trophy and the money. We'll see. But for Harb, I'm Negative Niece, and we'll see you guys next time on the Section YY8 podcast.